We live in an information age. We literally have the world at our fingertips, and sometimes that can actually stop us from taking action. So in today's episode number 98 of the Health with Hashimoto's podcast, I'm going to tell you exactly how to get results when we live in an information age. And it does not come down to having yet another course on your computer that you don't access anymore. I don't know about you. I have a whole bunch of courses. I love information. Do you as well? I mean, you're a podcast listener, and people who listen to podcasts tend to love to learn. You love to learn about your health. You love to learn about the world around you. You love to learn about how to relate to others and how to improve relationships and how to improve so many different aspects of your health. And in this information age, sometimes we can get stuck learning, always learning, and never doing. But my goal with this podcast, the Health with Hashimoto's podcast, is to help you take action. My goal is to help you learn what your root causes are and be able to address them. Because if you are not addressing your root causes of your Hashimoto's, you will continue to have more and more symptoms. In fact, if you ignore the autoimmune part of the diagnosis, and I feel like it's easy to do because a lot of doctors and providers will just say you have Hashimoto's, here, take this medication. They don't even explain it's an autoimmune problem. So if you ignore the autoimmune problem of the diagnoses, then you're not going to be able to recognize even that there are things to do, that there is an immune system that is crying out for help, an immune system that has gone haywire and that needs attention. And there are things you can do. If you don't know there are things to do, I guess that's the number one thing I want you to learn from the past 97 episodes. There are things you can do for your health. Hashimoto's is not a sentence that you have to be on, medications that increase over time and your thyroid will eventually die. Like, that is not your sentence. You have a life in front of you, and you get to enjoy that life. And hopefully through the things that you learn on this podcast, you have discovered how to increase your energy. And like so many women saying, I just want to feel like myself again. And that is my goal for you. I want you to feel like yourself again. Last week in episode 97, I talked about starting now, not letting the summer derail your health. And that also pertains to these courses. So the other day, several of my friends and I were talking, and we're all podcasters. So we were talking about podcasting, and specifically, we were talking about two different courses that are for podcasters. Now, some of us have been through course 1, some of us has been through course 2, actually A and B, because they're from two different people, and there were some differences. And in explaining the differences as a group, the goal was to help people figure out which course to enroll in. And it really helped me understand how to tell you about the course, because I have a course. It is the Holistic Hashimoto's course, and it is wonderful for women or men who are looking to address the root causes of their Hashimoto's. You know that Hashimoto's is an autoimmune condition. You know sometimes what you need to address, and sometimes you don't know that. And I will take you by the hand and lead you through exactly what to do. But I realized that you need to know the difference between different courses, because there are a lot of courses out there. One person messaged me on Instagram. They're like, I feel like every Hashimoto's expert has a course they want to sell me. And I'm like, well, I do have a course. So if you're trying to ask if I have a course or not, I mean, I do. I have a lot of free stuff. I have nearly 100 episodes on the podcast to give this information to you for free. If you want to shortcut your time, the course is for you. And I did not hear back from her, so I don't know. Maybe she was just looking for somebody who did not have a course. But that's why I created the course, was to shortcut your time. Like, I am freely giving you information every single week on the podcast. You can get into the app, the Health with Hashimoto's app, and you can go through the mini course for free, and you can identify your root causes. You can learn what to ask your doctor. Like, I have so many resources for you. And then to shortcut your time, I have the paid course. So first, let me tell you what my course is not, and I am going to relate it to the two podcast courses that people were in my little group that we were talking about. Now, course A, Course A they're both the same price. So, they're equal that way. And it was for the advanced student. It is for the advanced student. When you enroll into that course, you enter into the dashboard and everything is available to you all at once. The person in our group who was talking about this, she said there is tons of information and it is all available to you. It is everything available all at once, everything that you would want to know, every question that you would have, it's in there somewhere. But what she said is it's overwhelming and she got paralyzed. There was so much information. She didn't know exactly where to start. And she said, honestly, I haven't made progress, but I will go back and do it later. I will go back and I will get my money's worth out of that course. But as for now, everything was available to her at once. She got overwhelmed and didn't know where to start. And in the Hashimoto's world, that is so common because there's so much information out there. You can check out, 5 or 10 books from the library or, buy them from your local bookstore. There's so much information and it's good information. The thing is, a lot of the information, it contradicts the other good information. Like we've talked about before on the podcast, there are so many things like expert A with a lot of research behind them to back up what they're going to say. They say one thing, and then expert B with a whole lot of research behind what they say something that directly contradicts expert A. And they're both right. But how do you know what's right for you? That is your job when you have an autoimmune problem. You get to figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you, what applies to you and what doesn't apply to you, what your next step is and what works for your friend. Like you have to figure out your own path. And when you enter into a course where everything is available, sometimes it can feel like it's just too much. You don't know where to start. So the other podcasting course, it was laid out more like my Hashimoto's course, the holistic Hashimoto's course. And it was described as this way. There's 1 week at a time and you know exactly what to do. And the people in my group who are all talking about these two courses, they said that was what they needed. They needed to know exactly what to do this week. And they could not advance to next week until next week. Like they couldn't just learn and not do. They had to learn the information and apply it. And they didn't get the information for week 2 until week 2. Like the calendar had to switch over to 7 days from now. And then they got that information and they were so grateful for it because they said that in the past they would learn some information and then just want to move on and learn more information without doing the work. And they would have intentions to come back and do the work, or they would do part of the work. They would get started and then not finish the work, just go on to the next thing. And I totally relate to that. They said having it laid out 1 week at a time was super motivating. And they said they were making tons of progress. They were doing each week and they were finishing on time and they felt like they were moving forward with their podcast. And obviously, you're not starting a podcast. You are working on your Hashimoto's, but that's what you want to do. You want to be able to make progress and shortcut the time of helping your body, supporting your body do what it's supposed to do. That's our goal. Help your body do what it's supposed to do. Our immune systems are not supposed to be all haywire and wonky. Our immune systems are not supposed to be attacking ourselves, our tissues, and our organs. Our immune systems are designed to be attacking foreign invaders, not our thyroids. We don't want our immune systems attacking our thyroids. So it is our job as somebody who has an autoimmune condition to address the root causes. If you're not addressing the root causes, you're not going to make long-term progress in your disease. Like you have to address the root causes. So if you go into a course and everything is available all at once and you get paralyzed, you get overwhelmed, paralyzed, and you don't make any progress, then it was a waste of your money. Now, is there a place and a time for those courses? There absolutely is. With the podcast course A, I know somebody else, she wasn't in this conversation, but she had a lot of results, fantastic results with that course. It met her where she was. She was really advanced. She was too advanced actually for the course that was step by step because she had already been through a lot of those steps and she was working on plugging the holes of what was left, like figuring out where do I need to focus on and then work on just those things. So she was advanced and ready for that. My course, the Holistic Hashimoto's course, is designed for you if you are overwhelmed and if you need to know exactly what to do next. And let me tell you what you're going to do in the course. In week 1, you're going to learn essentially where you are and where you're going. You're going to learn about the basics and do a whole person inventory. As you know from listening to previous episodes, as you probably know, I help you look at your health in 5 different areas: body, mind, spirit, diet, environment. So you're really looking at how are you doing, I guess, in each of those areas and where you need to focus on first. What root causes or what triggers are specific to you, and then what you need to do. You're also going to figure out, what does better health look like and feel like for you? Like, we don't want it to be vague, because if it's vague, you won't know when you hit it and you won't know where you are. We really want to know, what is your goal? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does, quote, feel like myself again? What does that actually feel like? Does it mean that you're not taking a nap every single day? Does it mean that your symptoms of depression are less? And if so, then what does that look like? What does it look like for you to feel better again? And then, of course, we're looking at, how are you going to get there? Looking at your own triggers and what to work on. Week number 2, we tackle the biggest trigger for so many people, which is stress. And it really help you work on that trigger, because if you are alive today, you probably have stress. I don't know anybody who doesn't. And so we all have to learn how to decrease our stress and how to manage the stress that we have. We cannot get rid of all of the stress. It's just not possible. And, some stress is healthy. Like, your body needs some stress in order to run. You need some stress, but we don't want too much stress. So we're really focusing on stress in week 2. Also, we're focusing on that genetic component. Everybody who has an autoimmune problem has 3 things. You have a gut component, a genetic component, and 1 or more triggers. Oh, I forgot to tell you also, as soon as you get into the course, there is a gut health ebook that really walks you through, like, customizing what would be best for your gut. Everybody's journey is different. All right, so then week 3, we dive into the gut and diet. Diet is a huge topic. Every time I do a podcast episode that mentions the word diet or mentions like what foods to cut out, I know that it's going to be a popular one. You like to listen to it because there's so much information on diet, and there's so much contradictory information about what to eat if you have an autoimmune problem, or if you have Hashimoto's, or if you have a thyroid problem. Like, people come at it from all different angles and give you contradictory advice. So week 3 is helping you figure out what is your best next step for your gut health and your diet. And then in week 4, we talk about toxins and your liver health. We really want to focus on your liver and all the things that you can do to support it so that it can do its job of helping clean out the junk from your body, because we are surrounded by so many chemicals. And so again, if you are alive today, I know that environmental chemicals are one of your triggers, or at least they are a component of your current state of health, because they're for everybody. Like, even I talk about in the course, and I've mentioned it on the podcast before, even babies today are born already with so many chemicals already in them. They test the umbilical cord blood, and there's already chemical exposures. So we all know that we have some work to do there. So that's one thing that you're going to work on in step 4, or in week 4. And then I did just add the bonus that was promised. It is how to eat a cookie or other forbidden food. Forbidden is in quotation marks. There's really, like, nothing is forbidden, right? You have free will. You can choose to eat what you want. But we all know that there are things that if we eat them, we don't feel as good after. Maybe it sends you into a Hashimoto's flare. Maybe it sends you just some symptoms, or it causes pain. Or maybe you just don't feel quite as alert. support, or maybe you know that it doesn't support your dietary goals whatsoever. And so there are always in our lives, there are things that we really don't feel like we should be eating with that should word. And so I teach you a whole bunch of different tricks. I think I have 7 different tips and tricks in how to eat those things. And I walk you through how to eat a cookie to lower the impact, the negative impact that it has on your body. Yeah, so a lot of different little tips in there. That is the bonus lesson, and that also is available during week 4. That is the course. And like I said, it is 1 week at a time so that you know exactly what to do and when to do it. And yet at the same time, I'm not giving you tons of information. You're not going to spend 40 hours a week on this course. You're busy. You don't have time for that. You need to be able to sit down with a course and say, okay, what am I learning this week? You go ahead and learn it. It's going to take you less than an hour. Then you're going to say, okay, how do I implement this for the next week? What are my action steps? And I'm going to give you those. And then you're going to have usually a couple podcast episodes if you want to dig deeper and review other episodes that I've done on that specific topic, or, further learning. I have those for you. And I do list them by numbers, but they're also available directly in the course. So you never have to leave the course and go to the podcast app. But they're all in there every single week. I give you exactly what to do because I don't want you to be overwhelmed. I want you to be able to take action and to start now. Like I said last week, you want to be able to start now and start small. Don't let summer derail your health. Don't let, the start of school derail your health. Don't let a vacation derail your health. Your health is really important. And by doing small steps, you can prioritize your health no matter what's going on. Sometimes it might be as small as taking some deep diaphragmatic breaths. And that is what you can do today. But at the same time, you are prioritizing what you can do. And that counts. So hop into the app right now or as soon as possible and start now. Start small. Start with the Hashimoto's Decoded free course and then move to the next step. I want you to be able to make progress. I don't want you to be stuck. I don't want you to feel like you are throwing spaghetti at the wall. Have you ever done that? I just thought it was a phrase that people said for the longest time. And then somebody actually did it. And I was like, oh, wait, what? Like you actually throw spaghetti at the wall? So if you don't know about it, that's how some people test to see if their spaghetti is ready. Because if you throw a spaghetti noodle at the wall and it's not ready yet, it will just hit the wall and bounce off. And if it's ready, it's a little stickier and it will stick to the wall. So funny when I first learned that. I was like, oh my goodness. You actually have spaghetti on your wall. And I mean, they did not keep it on the wall for long. They just threw it up, so, checked to see if it would stick and then took it down. But it just cracked me up. So anyway, I don't want you to be doing that, throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks and what works and then what doesn't, what just bounces off. You don't want to do that in your health. You don't have time for that. You are busy. Like you have so many different things that you're doing and you do not have time to feel less than. I don't want you to feel less than. When people talk to me and they describe how they feel, sometimes they just cry and they say, I feel less than myself. I don't feel worthy. I feel like I am constantly failing. I feel like I'm constantly coming up short. I cannot be the person who I need to be. And the tears just come. I don't want that for you. I want you to find hope and to find solutions that are going to work for you. And that is exactly what you're going to get in the Holistic Hashimoto's course. 1 week at a time, you're going to know exactly what to do. You're going to get your solutions. You're going to be able to make progress. You are worth it. Head down to the show notes and click the link so you can join now and start today. Remember, start small, start now. And clicking that enroll button is one way to start small. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. Please discuss any concerns and plans with your trusted healthcare professional. If you found this episode helpful, will you please share it with a friend? I'll see you next week on the Health with Hashimoto's podcast.